This is the North Carolina Fusion Podcast.
Brought to you by Wake Forest Baptist Health. Thank you for joining us on the North Carolina Fusion Podcast. My name is Scott Wollaston, and I serve as the Executive Director for the North Carolina Fusion. Today, I will be speaking with Andrew Fleming, head of our Level 4 Recreation Soccer program. Andrew manages the largest program in NC Fusion, while also coaching in our ECNL girls program. He is professional, humble, eager to learn, a perfectionist, and has a great voice for radio. I hope you enjoy our time with Andrew Fleming. Welcome to the North Carolina Fusion Podcast. Today I have Andrew Fleming joining me. Andrew serves as our head of Level 4 Recreation Soccer programs. Andrew, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks.
So tell us a little bit about your background, your family,
Sure.
where you grew up, college, and now even what you're doing now.
Sure. My family, can I tell you real quick how excited I am to be doing this and why?
Tell me.
My cousin was on the Joe Rogan Experience 3 weeks ago, and did a great job. She was absolutely fantastic. It got 2 million views, and my family treated her like a celebrity, like a rock star, which she is. And I feel like they're going to give me the exact same reception.
3 million.
At
least.
We're gonna go over 2 million, no doubt about it.
Love it.
So that's my family.
Okay.
My mother was my first recreation soccer coach. I grew up in Greensboro and played back when UNCG was winning Division III national championships, and so I started as a rec player in Greensboro and grew up there and went off to Virginia Tech and played there. Sort of. I carried the water and I sat at the end of the bench there and practiced real hard. Got into banking after college and didn't like sitting still behind a desk and wanted to kind of find my way here and have been very fortunate to be involved at a lot of different levels in the soccer community.
And you were coaching in Greensboro for a period of time, and you went to Greenville.
I went to
Greenville, you also went to Kentucky.
Yeah.
Talk about that, how that all played out.
Sure. So I went to Greenville, South Carolina, when I was a banker, and I was bored. And a buddy called and said, "Come down here and coach." So I did. And there were so many similarities in Greenville and Greensboro. They're great people there. They're great people here. I eventually got an opportunity to go to Eastern Kentucky University and be the assistant coach there. And what a great place Kentucky was in general. And I learned so much there. The college game being a little different, obviously, than the club game, and being on the other side of recruiting conversations and scenarios, and then seeing the similarities of a female college player and a U14 female youth player. You'd think that they're worlds apart, but they have a lot in common.
Yeah.
And how you'd have success with those players and those teams are quite similar, actually.
Yeah.
So that was a great learning experience. We did not win as much as everybody would have liked us to. And a few years later, I was looking for a new opportunity and was extremely fortunate to come back to the Triad in a role that I've absolutely loved, and be near my family, and be involved in the club that I was involved with when I was 8 years old and 18 years old. It's been great.
That's awesome. And so you run the what we call our Level 4 soccer program, which affectionately known as recreation.
Yes.
So kind of talk to people about what is this Level 4 soccer program? What is recreation? What's it mean? Who participates in that?
Sure. So recreation soccer, we start as young as 3-year-olds and go as old as 18-year-olds and then adults. And not just soccer, by the way. There are other things that we'll do at that level as well. But we'll go from 3 to 18 and then into adults. And the recreation program, the Level 4 program, is for young kids who are just learning the game, just starting out, trying to figure out if they like the game, for older players who maybe they play 3 and 4 sports, maybe they play at a level at which that they may want to play with some of their friends. Maybe they are now adults who want to continue to play the game, and maybe they're parents. It's not always just about the players. There are parents who coach, who have said, I grew up loving the game. Somebody taught me, and you know, they positively impacted me for life, and now I'm going to do that with my child and his or her friends. And so that's what Level 4 provides, is the opportunity to play at a level that lets you learn the game, lets you do other things, lets you play with your friends, lets you just relax and enjoy yourself.
Awesome. And it's local,
Yes.
right? And relatively low cost,
Yes.
Especially compared to the next levels of
Sure.
play. And to have that low cost, a big part of that is volunteer coaches,
Correct.
right? And from a staffing perspective, I mean, you run the biggest program that we have in terms of the number of players.
Right.
That doesn't work without volunteer coaches. So
course.
speak about volunteer coaches. Who are volunteer coaches for us? Because I've seen it that there's no typical
Right.
volunteer soccer coach in our program in
Right.
terms of for many different reasons. So speak to that
Sure.
and maybe even the challenge of that as well.
Sure. Now, the recreation coaches are absolutely amazing people, and so appreciated. For me personally, like I mentioned, my mother was my first recreation coach. She was a single mom with 2 jobs, and somebody needed to coach the team, and she put her hand up. And somebody, way back when, got her fields, got her equipment, got her a roster, put her in touch with the people, did her game schedule, and now I get to do all those things.
Yeah.
And so it touches home for me quite a bit. But these are parents who are giving up their free time, who are getting some education, who are going through a background check, who are sometimes spending their own money. I wish they wouldn't. I wish I could do everything that I wanted to do for them. But they are the ones that put their hand up when we say, hey, we need folks, we need bodies, we need energy, we need enthusiasm, and they're absolutely fantastic. I wish I could list off all these people who never complain about a thing. When their schedule changes, when the practice gets rained out, when they're, this year in particular, when practice can't be as convenient as it typically is, when the game schedule's taken a little bit longer and the game fields might be at different places than they normally are. And the vast majority, you'll never hear a peep out of them other than, how can I help? What do you need me to do? Hey, thanks for all you do. And they go out and they affect 10 kids. And we tell our coaches, your role, your job is to make sure that kid gets in the car at the end of practice and says, oh, Mommy, I had a great time. Daddy, did you see me score a goal today? I can't wait to play soccer again.
Yeah.
And the vast majority, 99%, they do a great job.
Yeah.
Fantastic job.
And you have some that even players that either players in the Fusion program now or that did play and have come back, and they're not necessarily parents.
Correct.
That volunteer and make up a big deficit in terms of the shortage of volunteers. That speak to that, or some maybe even a story of one that you would want to share.
Oh, there's a kid, and I love this kid. Can I say her name?
Sure.
This Chayla Paris. And to her teammates, I love her teammates as well. I coached their team for 3 years. I haven't coached them the last 2 years, but I needed a coach for the Batmen. The Batmen started on Monday, U5. So these kids are still 4, haven't turned 5 yet. And Chayla Paris said, hey, I'll coach the Batmen. I can be there, no problem. And she went and got Anna Schmiedes, who played on that team but doesn't play soccer anymore.
Okay.
She is she's an absolute stud on the tennis court and on the basketball court, and she was really good at soccer too. But she's not playing soccer anymore, and she said, you know what, I'll come coach with you, Chayla. Ann Weber and Tori Stressman. So in the past, we've paid them to do some things for us and to do some work, and unfortunately, through the COVID situation and with some of the realities that have been faced, they're not able to be back yet on a paid basis. They've both put their hands up and said that's okay. We're not concerned about the pay. We love it so much. Please let us help however you want. And they're both coaching.
That's awesome.
They're just Christopher Claywell is another one like that. And the program doesn't work without folks like that. Whether they're parents, whether they're volunteers, whether they're players, everybody gets involved because once you spend an hour with those kids, you're hooked.
Sure,
you're absolutely hooked.
Absolutely, that's awesome. So you speak about. We've spoken about a challenge of maybe not having enough volunteers at times, or enough folks that are willing to or able to step up to help coach. Yet the whole program is really based on that. There's certainly a lot of other challenges in running the recreation program. Maybe speak to some of those things, because I know that you're in the throes of it right now.
Sure.
I'm really thankful you're able to spend 30 minutes with me right now, as you probably are getting tons of emails and calls. Yeah. Talk about maybe so families, so they understand what is going on that's so stressful and difficult.
Sure. One of the things that happens now, and I get it, I totally understand. We talked about the recreation player, maybe somebody that plays 3 sports and also has time for Boy Scouts and also has time for piano lessons and whatever. So they may have, a family may have 6 things going for this child, and oh, by the way, 2 other children. Mm-hmm. The amount of information, and I think I'm fairly organized, and I think that I put out all the information you need. Well, it's a lot of information.
Sure. Yeah.
And I don't know, I know I'm guilty of it, I don't know who reads bulky emails from 6 different activities that one of their 3 children is involved in. So I've started video recording meetings, making short videos, trying to find new ways to get information out that people will receive, because I do spend a lot of time answering questions that I have answered before. Sure. And I don't mean that in any snide kind of way. Sure. That's just the reality.
That's right. And then multiply at times several thousand children and families that if every single one of them had a question every day for you.
My reality is, and this is keep in mind, this is a small season numbers wise. Mm-hmm. My reality is, if 90% of the people are completely happy, know everything they need to know, there are 150 people that are, I'm not on the team I wish I was on, my practice is not where I wish it was, I don't know when my games are yet, I don't know where to get my uniform yet. A 90%, and this is a small season. Sure. In a typical year, a 90% success rate in those terms would mean that 250 to 260 people are looking for information, and they need it.
Yep.
And it's my job to get back to them quickly and smile, which I generally do, other than this little 4-week period that we're in right now. I tend to not smile sometimes. But it's that's one of the biggest challenges, and we're going to brainstorm and try to come up with, is there a more efficient, effective way to communicate to the masses, and present information that they can receive very easily, because right now that's a big challenge. One of the other big challenges is the recreation program is meant to be very inexpensive. It is meant to be, I hesitate to say casual, because to the player, it's not casual. The player wants to go play and play hard, and but it is not meant to be. It's not meant to be traveling all over the place and 4 times a week and all that kind of stuff. So sometimes that brings multiple locations all over Greensboro or all over Winston.
Yeah.
And getting goals to all those locations, getting lines painted on all those locations, getting the grass mowed on all those locations. All of those things, are challenges. Sometimes you're dealing with multiple entities.
Sure.
Whether it's the city, whether it's the church, whether it's Guilford County Schools or Forsyth County Schools, or whether it's our own facility.
Right.
There's a lot of coordination into getting the things done that most of us, including myself, sometimes just take for granted. You just assume that the grass is cut.
Yeah.
You assume that the roster is put together and your buddy's on there.
Yeah.
So those are some of the challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. And you spoke of the number of participants this season is down, and we can attribute that to COVID and,
Sure.
and the impact of that. Are any other major impacts and from COVID that have perhaps affected what you've had to deal with through the course of getting ready and getting the fall season started?
Sure. One of the big issues this year was facilities. Not all the facilities that are typically available to us are available. So when we say numbers are low, there's still 1,400 to 1,500 kids.
Yeah.
And they all need a place to practice, and going out and finding those and renting those and getting them added to our insurance and all those things was a challenge. One of the other things I spent a lot of time in the summer doing was fielding questions from folks saying, do you think we're going to play? And I thought we were, but I told folks, if I were you, and I'm totally fine with you doing it, wait till the absolute last minute. It's hard for me to tell you to register in June and assume that you know what September is going to look like from a COVID standpoint. So I told folks, wait till the beginning of August. Some waited till the middle of August. Some are registering. I'm taking phone calls this morning. Do you still have room? And you want to accommodate all these people because this is a young player that wants to play, that needs to play. A lot of these kids, they need to play right now. So the timeline has been a big challenge.
Sure. Because you got a shorter timeline to get stuff organized.
Yeah.
Because the reason we put the deadlines in place is so that you have the appropriate time to plan and get things sorted. But with a shorter timeline makes it a little more stressful. And
correct.
Not to mention changing logistics of the impact of COVID. So well, I appreciate
we've had some folks. We've had some folks say, I'd like to play. I'm just not sure. I just haven't made up my mind. I just haven't. And so they've been on a team and they've come off a team and they may have signed up for a different program. They may have signed up for a training program that we run where, okay, you're still going to come play, but you're going to be in a practice scenario so that you don't play this team and that team and this team and that team. They may go into the Fusion Futures and say, okay, I'm going to go train every Sunday with our staff, and I'm going to be around the same 8 kids every Sunday, and that's the only people I'll be around. And it'll be more of an individual skill-based, whereas, I'm telling folks, and I've seen and I've read, and we've gotten guidance from state and national organizations, the actual playing of the game is a low-risk activity. All the things that come with the game that you have to manage. You have to manage handshake lines and not sharing water and those types of things. But still, there are some folks who say, I don't know that I'm ready for games yet. Yeah. What else can we do? And so we've come up with that, and we've shuffled people around, and so that
sounds like a great alternative for players, and obviously even. You talked about recreation being or level 4 being a level that players can play multiple things. So moving forward, it sounds like Fusion Futures would be a great program for even a player right now that wants to play, let's say, lacrosse in the spring.
Sure.
And they could do the Fusion Futures program one night a week and not miss their touch on the ball and an opportunity to work with some coaches and that type of thing. So it sounds like a great opportunity for them as well.
Yeah, and it's also an opportunity for the player who is at a young age who is already determined, you know what, I'd like to play more soccer.
Yeah.
Let me get a second day of the week.
Yeah.
I'm on my team. I practice once. I'll play a game. Now I'll get a third time where I'll go practice with their staff and play because I'm 6, but I already know that I like soccer enough to do it 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So they have that option there.
That's great. That's a really great point. So tell us about your coaching, the coaching side of what you do, because you work full time running this recreation program, and you also coach, which takes up a lot of time. But I know you love it. Yeah. So tell people about what you do as a coach.
Sure. So I coach in our ECNL program, our Elite Clubs National League program. I've got the U16 girls who are absolutely fantastic. I really love this.
These are the girls in the triad or our surrounding areas that are the top players at their age. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. They come from as far as Mebane, and the one is 30 minutes west of here, which I don't know what is there except that she's there. And they come from everywhere in there. There's one at Southern Pines that comes. And there are times, especially during this 4 or 5 week period, where I'll go to practice like tonight, and I've had a long day, and I'm like, I really need you guys to be good. And they just are. They're buzzing about, and they're hardworking, and they soak up information. They want to learn. They talk about they're all talking about the English Premier League and who's maybe going to get transferred, and I hope that my team signs this, and their conversations are above mine in regards to their knowledge of the English Premier League.
Yeah.
So it's really refreshing. And then they're kids at that age. There's a kid. When you get to know them, you'll see like their personality sometimes absolutely matches their play. So there's a kid, Maddie, on my team, and she's such a good technical player, and she's really smart, and she's a nice, sweet kid, and that kind of matches. But she's a savage. She is she plays as a holding midfielder, and she tackles, and she disrupts transition, and she works, and she's a bruiser. And you're almost like, well, that doesn't match her personality until the other day. She says, I said, Maddie, I feel like your dad was a good soccer player. And she said, yeah. She said, he played at Princeton. And I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. And he was a good. And here's where she's savage. She goes, but they didn't go till the Final Four until after he left. So maybe he's not that good. But that was brutal. And that's her. And you just get to see like these neat personalities, these kids who, are so focused and almost grown up in their ability to understand the game and to play, and then they're just goofy little savage, teenage girls,
Sure.
and they're just a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
You get to guide them through the college recruiting process, which is exciting and stressful, and you get a glimpse of the kid gets a glimpse of, hey, you know what, I am growing up. I'm starting to make these decisions and think about these things that are in my future. And it's great to be a part of just that whole process of U13 to U18 and then beyond. They, a lot of them come back and play in our U23 program that John Pardini coaches, and he lets me help with. And now you're seeing them as 21, 22-year-old young women who have been to college for a year or two.
Sure.
And it's such a privilege to watch that process and be involved in it and have an impact.
It's cool to see you get almost the two polar opposites in a way. Being so involved in the recreation program and seeing maybe a 4 or 5-year-old just getting started in the game, but now you're seeing it. You're also at a high level with girls that are aspiring to play in college,
right,
and are really committed to that level. So you're seeing those two sides, but at the same time, I think what I'm hearing you say though is that at the end of the day, it's like it's the person within that, right, in that journey, and the things that you talk about are not not always soccer related,
No.
right? They're the kid and
Yeah.
their experience and who they are and how they react, and that's exciting. And I think it's really important for us as parents to hear that too,
Yeah.
because that is why we're doing what we're doing.
Correct.
Ultimately, so
Correct.
that's fantastic. Well, I'm gonna ask you one more question, and
Sure.
we're gonna go into some rapid questions. So, what does success look like in terms of a level 4 recreation program?
I think a couple of things. I think one, and I alluded to earlier, a kid gets in the car at the end of the practice and at the end of the game and thinks to himself or says out, hey, I want to do that again. I had a great time. Daddy, did you see me score? Yes, I did. Whatever. That feeling where they walk away and they've enjoyed themselves. And then the other thing that I think long-term, big picture success in level 4 has two things. One, I think that we are on the verge, and I think it's going to happen, where seasons are coordinated, schedules are coordinated, and a kid can say, I play for NC Fusion, and I play soccer for these 6-7 weeks, and then I go right into lacrosse for 6-7 weeks, and I go right into field hockey for 6-7 weeks, I go right into flag football, and then I play another season of soccer, and They have a home. They are, exposed to many different sports. They are, just comfortable that, hey, this is what I do, and we provide that. And the reason I see that as kind of the main big picture goal is, I really believe in. We came up with a year or so ago. Why do we do what we do? Well, we do what we do. We exist to positively impact a player for life. And so that can't just be soccer and recreation. That also has to be, if you choose, how do you go from level 4 to level 3? Hey, I want to play a little more soccer. I want to be involved in the futures. I want to practice twice a week at maybe a challenge level. And, now, hey, maybe I want to go into level 2 and start playing on a team that had tryouts. And that, we want to provide all those things. And a level 4 program should eventually expose kids to lots of different sports, give them the opportunity to go to different levels within those sports. And the club should be a home for that player.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Love it. All right, so I'm going to ask you a couple rapid fire questions about yourself so people get to know you a little bit better.
Sure.
So here we go. What's your favorite food?
Ribs.
And where do you get ribs?
There's a new place downtown Greensboro called Smoked.
Smoked. Okay.
Yes.
What's your favorite sports team?
The Tar Heels, basketball.
And what's your
Virginia Tech? I went to Virginia Tech. Oh, that's telling. Oh, man.
What's your favorite place to visit?
Any beach. I love the beach.
You seem like a beach guy.
Yeah.
What's a place you'd like to visit that you haven't been to?
Australia.
Okay. What's your favorite band or musician?
I'm a Motley Crue guy. Through and through.
Fantastic. Who is the most influential coach that you've had, and what makes them so influential?
Well, the easy one will be my mother. So I'm going to go a little. We've mentioned her. That's clear. And anybody that knows me knows how close I am to my mother. There was a guy named Rich Weber who was my first travel team coach. The 72 Greensboro Buccaneers, arguably the best club team to ever grace the East Coast. Arguably. I can argue it. And I'll try to say this quick. When people ask me about coaching girls, what's the difference between coaching boys and coaching girls? I always tell them, I say one of the keys to getting the most out of the girl, if you want a young female player to reach their full potential, you have to be able to demand high expectations from them, push them, but you also have to make sure that they feel their role on the team is important. They are comfortable with who they are. They're comfortable with the coach thinks they're good. Their parents are proud of them. Their teammates like them, and that they are valued by this team. And Rich Weber, I was the captain of that team. He gave me rides home when I needed to. I just felt like that was my first, real team that I was like, this is where I belong.
Yeah.
This is, and he was a large part of that. And there were only 3 of us that stayed from U11 all the way through U19. I had the opportunity to go maybe play at a different, I stayed there, and he was a big impact.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. So what inspires you?
What inspires me? Mark Simpson said in one of our meetings years ago, and it always, that one of the things we do here is we allow kids to struggle in a manageable environment. And what inspires me is when I see kids struggle and come out the other side. Even if it's a little struggle that lasts for a minute in a U5 game where he's down and then he's up and there's a kid that struggled. Or if it's, a kid on my team who, Lexi Cagno did her ACL, and she's coming back and she's working hard, and she's such a great kid and such a great attitude. She was our leading goal scorer last year. She's a fantastic player, and it kills her. She comes to every practice, can't play, and she comes from Burlington. She'll be here tonight, an hour away, when she can't play because she wants to learn. And that's just part of her dealing with her struggle. Yeah. If she sat at home, it would eat her up. Yeah. So she's dealing with her struggle, and you watch that, and you watch them come out the other side of a struggle, and you're like, that's inspiring. Yeah. That is, that keeps you going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And I think everything that you've shared today, I hope gives people the opportunity to see why we have people like you in our program. Because, and I truly mean that when we talk about the people that are involved, they do believe in these things. We believe that we love soccer, we love lacrosse, we love other sports, we love the platform. But at the end of the day, we really do love what we see in kids and families, and there's certainly struggles like everyone has, but you've been really open and showed humility and willingness to continue to learn, even though you have a ton of experience. And I think I respect that so much about you, and appreciate that you're running this program that is, it is the biggest program, but it's also it is the program that anyone can be a part of. And I love that, and I hope we can continue to grow that, and that people will continue to support you and the program and get involved. So thank you for everything that you've been doing, and the incredible impact that you're having on our community through sport. So
thanks.
So appreciate your time, and we're going to wrap things up. And I think that our families need to know that if they have any questions regarding Level 4, they can reach out to you. Fleming at ncfusion.org. Your information's on the website. Maybe not call you right now because you can get.
They can't. I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. It's close. It is close.
Okay, fair enough. So they can get to you that way as well. So for opportunities this fall season.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today on the NC Fusion podcast. We'll be back very soon. Go Fusion.
For more information, please visit our website, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to this podcast.